Are you wearing all the hats in your business? Are you not able to take vacation? Or like if you do take vacation, it's like a workcation because you still have to show up for work in your business and take time away from your family and all the things. Do you feel like you have to sacrifice things that you really love in order to make your business work? I always tell my clients, if your business can't function without you, you don't have a business. You have a very demanding job. Okay? But today is your lucky day because we are going to get you the freedom that you want. Okay? Today I'm going to discuss the blueprint for getting out of your day-to-day in your business. Who is with me? Who wants to know this? All right. So the blueprint is found right in Genesis chapter 1. And I love to talk about it because it truly is the blueprint for freedom. Okay? And just so that you understand, because you know I love a good Bible story to just show an example as to how blueprints work. We're going to use the example of Moses. All right, so let's talk about what your first step is for getting out of your business. The first thing you need to do is surround yourself with two key people. Okay? Two key people. Who are those people? All right? One, you need a mentor. Someone to give you some guidance. Someone outside of you that is really good at the thing that you're trying to be good at in building out your business. Okay, a business mentor, someone that can be outside of you and that may challenge you a bit. Because you have to understand that we live in ourselves. Our reality is right here. Okay, that's our reality. And so when you have someone outside of you showing you the way, it really helps to put things into perspective when you weren't able to see it before. Okay? So you need a mentor and you need an implementer. Now your implementer is your right hand person. That's who they are. Your right hand person. I like to use the example of God the Father and then Jesus the Son, right? Like the implementer in this case was Jesus. Like it says it in scripture that everything that was made by him. He was the word that became flesh. And you have to understand that God created everything through his word. And Jesus was that word. Okay? So he was really the implementer. God sent him down to do the work down here to die for us. Like he truly was the hands and the feet, the mouthpiece. He was the implementation, the manifestation of God's thoughts, right? And so you need that right-hand person. You always need that right-hand person. Why do you need that right-hand person? Because the truth of the matter is, when we are in the weeds of our business, there is no one guiding the ship. There is no one driving the car. Okay? There is no one at the high level looking to make sure that we are going along our way. I like to look at it as, you know, if we have a map of the United States of America and we see the map, the implementer has a GPS in the car driving where they need to go. But the business owner needs to be able to see from a high level top down view, okay, the car is going over here and this is what's going to happen up here and this is what happened back there and all the things. So you need an implementer. Now, that means you may have to hire someone, and someone says, well, when do you hire your implementer? In the beginning. That's when you hire them. In the beginning. Oh, Kawana, how am I supposed to hire someone right in the beginning? Where are those resources coming from? How are we able to do that? Oh, there are so many creative ways to be able to hire someone right away. Sometimes your implementer can even be a partner, and you compensate them for a portion of your business, or you compensate them of shared revenues, or you compensate them. There's so many ways, but the idea is you need to hire an implementer. So now there's you, there's your implementer, there is your mentor. Okay, so that is the first thing. Now, one would say, well, how does that get me out of the day-to-day? Trust me. Oh, it gets you out of the day-to-day. Because remember what I said. If the implementer is driving the car, guess who's not? You are. You're able to just look from a top-down view. And there are roles you have to play as the business owner that you can't play if you're the one driving the car, doing the day-to-day errands and things of that nature. Okay? So, how does that work and tie in with the story of Moses? So for all of you who don't know the story of Moses in scripture, I'll give you like a synopsis of what it was. So Moses, he was ordained by God to free the children of Israel out of bondage in the nation of Egypt. So pretty much what happened, there was a pharaoh that started to rule over Egypt, and he enslaved the children of Israel. And he used them to build out his kingdom, and I mean, they were enslaved, whips and all type. It was just not a good space. And they were enslaved for hundreds of years, okay? And there was a time where that pharaoh, Moses was born. Baby boys were born. And Pharaoh decided he had to kill all the baby boys, and Moses' mother, Jochebed, decided, my baby's not going to die. She puts him in a basket, puts him on the river, and he floats along the way, and she prayed, and his bigger sister, Miriam, was watching over him in the water, and he landed in the hands of Pharaoh's daughter, and ended up becoming family to the royal family, okay? I'm fast forwarding the story a bit because I needed to give you that background. So he is now growing up in the courts of Pharaoh in Egypt. And he learns that, you know, he is a Hebrew. He is of Hebrew descent. And he wants to, you know, free them because they are enslaved. He doesn't like it. He realizes it's his people. He does a horrible mistake. He kills an Egyptian in the process, and now is exiled. He ran away. Either way, 40 years go by. 40. When 40 years go by, God calls him and says, it's time to go back to Egypt and go and free your people. Moses is like, what? That plan, that ended when I killed the Egyptian. I've been here for 40 years. Like, I'm not, what are we talking about here? And it's like, that's what I'm asking you to do. And Moses is just like, I don't know. I can't speak well. He's like, don't worry, I'll have your brother there with you. All the things. What is happening here? So Moses and his brother go, and they start talking to Pharaoh, let my people go, let my people go. Long story short, eventually after plagues, after miracles, after all the things, the children of Israel have now left. Now, we're talking about millions of people, like lots and lots of people, mass exodus out of a nation to where? To where? Where are they going? To a land that God has for them. So, I mean, they are literally crossing Red Seas. They're, traveling. And what is happening is whenever you're leading a whole lot of people, there's going to be conflict. There are going to be issues. There are going to be people bickering. There are going to be issues that need to be solved. Everyone has a problem. And Moses is now the leader of all these people and families that he led out into the wilderness via God. And so He is getting stressed out of his mind, trying to handle all that it takes to lead these people. And his father-in-law visits him, Jethro, and says, you know, Moses, this isn't good. Who is Jethro? The mentor. He mentored him. He said, this is not good. You know, who was his implementer? His brother Aaron. His brother Aaron was his implementer. His brother Aaron did the miracles. His brother Aaron spoke in his stead to Pharaoh. His brother Aaron was his right-hand person. His brother Aaron also made some mistakes along the way, but the idea was he had a right-hand person. You see this right here. So you have his mentor, Jethro. You have his right-hand person, Aaron, his brother. Okay? So right there, God sets that up. Okay? What is step number 2? Okay? Step number two is you have to create your systems. You have to create your systems. You need workflows, SOPs. You know, so let's back up. Let's talk about what are workflows. Let's start there. What are workflows? Okay. So workflows are hi Serenity. Workflows are repeatable series of tasks or steps that are carried out in a specific sequence to complete a process. That's what a workflow is. All right? So, you know, there are a series of tasks. So, for instance, if I'm asking my children to clean the kitchen, there are a series of tasks they have to do for the kitchen to be clean. Okay? So they need to wash the dishes. They need to clear off the counters. They need to wipe down the counters. They need to sweep the floor. They need to mop the floor. Like, there are a series of tasks that have to happen in order for the goal or the process to be completed. That is a workflow when you map those out, okay? It can be very visual if you'd like. It has a great overview of what has to happen, and it can tend to be flexible. Like, you know, if you need to update some things, that's a workflow. What are SOPs? So SOPs are a little different than workflows. They are step-by-step written instructions to explain how to carry out a specific task. Okay? So, for instance, let's go back to the kitchen scenario. If your workflow says wash the dishes, that's a task to wash the dishes. Well, the SOP would say take a sponge. Step 2, add soap to the sponge. Step 3, or maybe step 2 is wet the sponge. Step 3 is add soap to the sponge. Step 4, squeeze the sponge and lather up the bubbles. Step 5, pick up the plates first. Well, what do you wash first? Some people decide they want to wash all the silverware first, and then go to the cups, and then go to the bowls, and then go to the plates, and then get into the pots. And, you know, so it's literally a step-by-step instruction, written instructions in order to get a task done. So inside of your workflow, you may have a series of SOPs that need to be mapped out for each task that has to be done, right? So that's what those are. You need to create those. You need to create those systems in as your step number 2 for getting out of your business. The question is, why? Because if you don't have these things mapped out, then other people cannot do them. They won't know how you'd like them to be done. Well, someone else can do that for me. That's true. Someone else can do it for you, but it may not be done the way you want it to be done unless you have a level of oversight. That's part of building out your system. You need to have things in place in order for people to know how to function with it, what to do. So here is what's amazing. When you go back into the story of Moses, Jethro gave him some instructions. He said, listen, you cannot manage all of these issues by yourself. You're one man. You're going to burn out. How many of us have ever felt burnt out in our businesses? Doing all the things. You get tired. You get worn down. You know, when you went into business, we got to talk about it. When you went into business, you went in for a level of freedom. You said, you know, I'll be able to work the hours I'd like to work. I'd be able to do things with my family like I'd like to. I'd be able to make the income and the resources that I'd want to. And you find yourself stuck. Moses understood burnout. Jethro could see it on his face. He saw it. And so he pretty much was like, okay, so this is what you're going to do. You are going to appoint people who are going to rule in certain decision making, and then you will only deal with the very, very critical decision making. So other people will kind of deal with people's squabbles and everything, and you will handle the major issues. In order for Moses to be able to do that, he had to have created some sort of systems so that whoever he appoints would be able to make the decision and have quality control. And it will be as if Moses gave that counsel. He had to create some level of systems for that to work. And so in order for you to come out of your business, creating systems are very necessary. Which then leads to the third step. Hand those workflows and SOPs to managers. Where do I see all of this in Genesis? Because I told you the blueprint is in Genesis. Number one, where were the systems? The systems were the ecosystem that God created. How the seed is within the fruit of the fruit tree yielding fruit, right? So the system was you take the seed out of the fruit, you plant it, you get more trees. That's a system. That was the system of God. Two birds come together, they have more birds. He built in that system. He built out that system. And then he handed it over to managers. Who were the managers? The sun, moon, and stars. To rule over the day and to rule over the night. To manage the day and manage the night. This is why even in the systems work based on the sun and the moon and the stars and all the other things. The plants know what seasons we're in. They know when to bloom, when not to bloom. Do you know how crazy it would be if it was winter and a tree got confused and bloomed in winter and then froze, and then like the moon, the stars, the sun, they help with managing the seasons and all the things that make sure that the system can continue to work, right? So that's why it's so important. God created those systems. He created those workflows and those SOPs that are built into the trees and the animals and the sea creatures and all the things. He did. He did. And then he handed those over to managers. That's where we get the blueprint from. And so you're going to have to hire again. Now, here's what's crazy. This is where people struggle because we talk about hiring, okay? You already had to figure out your two key people, your mentor, your implementer, right? And had to hire them. And now you create your systems with them. They help you with creating this and checks and balances and making sure it's great, working out great. And now you have to hire again. Yes! Yes, you do. Because we're not meant to do this by ourselves. Any company that is going to grow, even if they grow in a lean fashion. What do I mean by lean fashion? Meaning they don't have thousands of workers, but they're able to do a lot of work because they leverage, outsourcing or leverage technology or whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, you still need human resources. You still need people. Machines will never be able to replace a person. I mean, I know that's where we're living in right now. I know we're in a space where it's like, no, machines have been able to do a lot of things. Oh, hey, G Music. You said this blueprint is amazing. Really helped me as I'm looking into going into relaunching the restaurant again. Absolutely. Absolutely. You really still need people. You need people. As much as machines can do, and let me tell you, I'm all about leveraging technology. I am all about leveraging automations. I'm all about keeping costs low, and hiring a computer is so much cheaper than hiring another person, right? I get that. But at the end of the day, who is going to manage the computers? Who is going to quality check that technology doesn't fall apart on you? Still need people. And as much as you want to do it all by yourself, because a lot of us want to do it all by ourselves, it will fall apart. You'll hit a ceiling where you can't grow any further. So here's what I find amazing. Can we talk about why we want to do things all by ourselves? Why we feel it's so important to hold on to everything? I know we want to think it's because we pride ourselves in quality control. No one can do it as good as I can. And all these things. This is what we tell ourselves. No one cares about our business the way we do. So therefore, handing it over to someone else, that's like, I don't know how that's going to work. I've been burned before. Hired people and they stole from me, or hired people and they burned me, hired people and I ended up in a worse condition than if I had just done it all myself. So then you do it yourself. Can we talk about that? Do you mind if I share a story? I'm going to share a story. Story time. I love sharing these stories. Okay. So I decided, and it wasn't just me, my husband and I decided that we were going to homeschool our children. Okay. So in making that decision that we were going to homeschool our children, one of the things I wanted to teach my children as they were growing up is how to cook, how to clean up after themselves. I mean, what parent doesn't, right? How to cook, how to clean up after themselves, how to take care of themselves. Well, when it came to cooking, I remember my sister-in-law said, you really need to, yes, Lawrence, that's what we said. You really need to let her just get at the stove and help you cook. And I look over at my 4-year-old daughter like, you want me to put her at the stove? I mean, we're talking about the heat, the stove here. And just let her stir, like, you want me to. And I'm sitting here like, really? She's like, yeah. And let me tell you, I honored her counsel. And I said, okay, I'll put my daughter at the stove. And so we would cook together. Now, here's what is amazing. Did she get burned a few times because she wanted to touch something and test out stuff? Here or there. She did. Was it easy? No. Did it make cooking the meal much longer than if I had just done it myself? Absolutely. A meal that would have only taken 30 minutes for me to whip up really quick became like a 3-hour job, because you already know how it goes. You're cooking the meal, and then it's like, wait, mommy, I have to go use the bathroom. And then you go use the bathroom, but then you have to do all the things that use the bathroom. You gotta wash your hands, you gotta do all the things, and then you come back, and then you gotta reheat the stove again because you couldn't leave it on because you knew it was gonna take forever for them to use the bathroom, and so you gotta turn the stove back on and get it back to the right heat. I mean, honestly, it would have been so much easier if I would have done it myself. But I taught her. And I was consistent. And I trained her on how to do it. Let me tell you what the blessing came. I was working for a client. helping them with their operations, helping them with their team, all the things. And that day, I was in meetings. It was an emergency situation. And I was in meetings from before everyone woke up to after everyone went to bed. Now, I was feeling so guilty because I'm like, it was in the morning time. I saw that it was late, meaning there was breakfast window at a certain time, and usually I go and I whip up the breakfast, cooking with my daughter, and then everybody eats, then I rush back to. Let me tell you, I could not move from that meeting because, things were going down. Like, it was crazy work, right? And all I kept thinking to myself was, you're a terrible mom. Your children have not eaten breakfast. You can't get out of this meeting. They're like 6 and 4 right now. They need to eat. What are we doing? What are we doing? And let me tell you what happened. There was a knock on my door. Now, my children know that when I'm in meetings, they knock and they're very quiet because they've been trained when I'm in meetings. It can't sound like a daycare, if that makes sense. And so, knock on the door, and she peeked in, and I just, called her over. And in her hand was a stack of pancakes and a side of tofu scramble. I'm vegan, so tofu scramble. My 6-year-old daughter, stack of pancakes and tofu scramble. When I say to you, the fact that my children ate breakfast, even though I was stuck in a meeting, you want to talk about burdens being lifted at Calvary. You want to talk about feeling like, oh my goodness, it was so worth all the work I put in that she can cook. When I say to you, I was so grateful for the fact that I listened to my sister-in-law. In that moment, it was so worth it. Now, we're not going to talk about how crazy the kitchen looked, because it's irrelevant. What is relevant is they ate. They ate breakfast while I was doing something else. Let me talk to you about that type of relief. Let me tell you that when you create the systems and when you train your new hires and they actually do a great job, the relief that you feel, that you no longer have to worry about that is next level. Next level. Next level. And when I say to you, I was so grateful. Okay, G-Music, so grateful. I was so grateful that I had done that work. But it is work. And it's work that we tend to walk away from. Now, you want to hear something really crazy. Because one would say, my 6-year-old can't cook as well as I can. Okay? They can't do it the best way I can. Guess what? How else are they going to be good or be better than you than to do it? And let me tell you now, today, my daughter is the main chef of the house. And I am very proud to say it. Main chef. So much so, I was in a meeting actually this week. I was at my desk in a meeting, and it was a later evening meeting because of time zones and all the things. I was in a meeting. And my daughter brings me a plate for dinner in front of who I was talking to, and they said, oh, you are a queen in your house. I mean, they were just like, I have never seen anything like this. Like, they just came and served you. Like, who? Like, how? And I'm just laughing because I'm like, you have no idea the training that went in. The training that went in to have that, the fruit of that being out. And she loves cooking. She loves it. She enjoys it. So much so. Like, it's her thing. Like, God forbid someone else wants to do a meal plan and everything. She's like, oh, who's trying to take over my job? I don't understand. you know? So I'm saying all of that to say that when you're creating your systems, know that you're creating it in a way to hand it over to someone else. And by every time you're able to do that, you're gaining more and more of your freedom. You're gaining the ability to be able to go on vacation and not have to work. You're gaining the autonomy of being able to live your life and not live for your business. Because we have to remember, at the end of the day, our businesses are assets. That's it. They're assets to be used and to work for us, not the other way around. And so when Moses, I got to bring it back. When Moses delegated, using his systems and delegated, it lightened the load off of him. Now he had, people over thousands, people over hundreds, people over 50s, right? And they were taking care of the lower level issues that he didn't have to be a part of. And he only had to deal with the top level situations that only he could deal with. And that is the beauty of following the blueprint that God has given us. Because now we can focus on the things that we have to focus on. Not necessarily things that could have been outsourced or delegated. And it frees us up with time. Here is what is also amazing about systems and building that I think is so hilarious. So amazing. So genius, because God is just genius. When you're creating these systems and you're putting the people in place, you're literally creating a mechanism that can multiply and grow outside of you. What do I mean? How crazy would it be if God's systems were so manual that we had, after we put the seed in the ground and we watered it and we mulched it and all the things that we do to a seed, then we also have to bring the increase. If we had to plant the seed, water it, be the sunlight, give the increase and do the growing of the plant as well, like stretch it up and stretch it to make it grow, when would we be able to do anything else? When would we be able to multiply and have families? When would we be able to, believe it or not, embedded in systems and handing it over to someone else, you're literally giving power for multiplication, which is the purpose of business growth. That's the only way to grow, is through multiplying, through multiplication, through doing these tasks over and over again and being able to grow something. So like if you G Music, you said you're relaunching your restaurant, right? So you can have one restaurant and it serves this locality. But if you have multiple restaurants, now you're multiplying your reach and the amount of people you can serve. So if you create systems, now you have something that you can multiply in order to serve more people. You get what I'm saying? So it's like literally building the system and putting the people in place is how God ordained we multiply and subdue the earth, right? And subdue what he has given us dominion over through systems and people. Which is why when I see business owners pulling their hair out and struggling to grow and literally not being able to rest or have vacation, I realize there's going to be no growth. And let me tell you, if you're not growing, you are dying. You're dying. There is no in between. There is no staying even keel, staying stagnant. The inflation rate alone will cause you to be dying slowly, because inflation always goes up. So if you're not growing at least to the level of inflation, your business is going to fail. It's just that simple. So this is how you get not only out of your business, but this is actually how you multiply and grow your business as well. So if you find yourself apprehensive of hiring, apprehensive of putting these systems in place, or maybe you're just confused, you don't even know how to do it, then you know, well, I need to do it. I need to do it. Reach out, DM me. Let me know. Let's help you. Because at the end of the day, we have to grow our businesses and we have to multiply. That is how God created it, right? And that is his blueprint. Right, Chelsea? Systems. Gotta work through systems. Now, you all know I love a good case study. Okay? So, believe it or not, I was watching a podcast. I had a whole, thought process, but I was watching this podcast. The person that does the podcast is Emma Greed. Okay? She is, you would love to help? Okay. Let's meet up, G Music. Let's have a conversation. When I'm done with this live, we'll figure it out, okay? How I can help you, okay? So, I was watching this podcast, and the Emma Greed's podcast, which I've learned to watch and like because she brings on billionaires and other people that have run multiple companies, and I'm always looking for great case studies. I love case studies. And she was interviewing the founder of Bella. You're like, help? No problem. She was interviewing the founder of Poppy, the soda. Do you guys know about Poppy, the soda brand? It's one of the fastest growing soda brands out there right now, okay? So, Poppy Soda. She was interviewing her, and when they were talking, I noticed, and this is the beautiful thing about case studies, whether or not people know that they're following the blueprint of God is quite frankly irrelevant, right? Because if they're following it, they're getting results. And I love to watch case studies where people don't even know that this is the blueprint of the Lord, and they're following it, and they're blessed. It just is. It's like if the seed is planted in the soil, the rain comes, the sun comes, it's going to grow. That's how it works. So, as I was listening to the interview, I noticed that, one, she didn't start alone. She had a right-hand person, which happened to be her husband at the time. Okay? So, it was two of them. And they were working on stuff, and they were testing out things and everything. And they got far, but they got to a place in their business where they were running out of money. They were struggling. They were doing well. They were in Whole Foods. They were, all over the place, but they needed funds. They needed funding at this point because how they were running it, they were just like, we're in over our head, right? And so they ended up going to Shark Tank. And when they got on Shark Tank, they landed a deal with one of the investors. The investor behaved as their mentor. So now they had the three of them. The mentor, the founder, and the right-hand person. Do you see that? So they had that. And they started to revamp together the systems. They started to revamp their brand. Because I think it was called something else, like Mother's something. But they rebranded it to Poppy. And they rebranded all the things. And then they created these systems to put in place for the growth. And when, and it was just the three of them for a while. And then when they relaunched, the market was flooded. And they had to hire people to do the work. But they had their systems in place. And she had her mentor, and she had her right-hand person. I'm trying to explain to you that this is how God ordained it. Whether or not people are aware of it or not, this is what it is. And so I love to see case studies that show right here and today, real life, how his blueprint still works. Still works, right? And so definitely want to just do a quick review, and then I'll leave you to it. You want to get out of your business. You want to be able to build a sustainable business that's outside of you. Okay? I love to say sustainable because that means when you're gone, it's not just sustaining, but it's also growing, right? It's doing its thing. Number one, what's the first thing? Do you guys remember? You can put it in the comments. First thing, you need a mentor and an implementer. You got to surround yourself with those people. Okay? You have to. Must. It's a non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. Get creative if you have to, or hire someone. Make it happen. Non-negotiable. Step two, the three of you are going to create those systems. That's what you're going to do. Your workflows, your SOPs, all the things that are involved with creating how you're going to deliver whatever it is you're delivering. All right? Otherwise you're just going to still be stuck. You're still going to be stuck. Because these are the systems that you're going to hand over, which is step three. You're handing it over to managers. That's what you're handing it. So they can manage it. And any team member that will be working on these things can be managed. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck doing all the managing. Listen to me. And it's very difficult. If you get stuck being the manager, it is very difficult to replace yourself out of that space. Because people are now connected to you. And if you bring someone else in, they're going to be like, I deal with the owner. What's this? It's going to be a whole thing. So the managers will deal with you, and the team members will deal with the managers. All right? And you start building out. Okay? So that is how you stop working 24/7. That's how you do it. And that's how you also grow your business and multiply. All right? So for those of you that said you needed help, when I'm done here, I will definitely reach out and show a way that we can see how we can help you. And for everyone else, I want you to know I am committed to going live every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Come, show up so that I can serve and I can help you on your business journey. And until next time, have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. Bye-bye now.